Hi, and welcome to a presentation from the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. My name is Ann DeSantis, and I am the director of the foundation. We're headquartered in Philadelphia. And I have with us the president of the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation. I have Mickey Kelly. So Mickey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Ann.
Yeah, it's great to be here. We have a lot to talk about, and the mission of the foundation has been outreach and spiritual accompaniment for families in crisis, especially those who are affected by divorce and separation. We've done some great podcasts and online meetings to help people. And Mickey, we're so grateful that you're part of this mission. And you and I both have something in common, which I thought we could talk to you about today, because we're both adult children of divorce.
For sure.
And not to say that being a part of who we both are, of course, doesn't mean that we're not people of faith, people who know that God loves us and that we live in the present moment and also for what God has in store. So I know that you yourself are positive in that regard, and thought we could talk about some tips that you may have for families affected by divorce, but especially maybe those adult children of divorce.
For sure. Okay. Well, my being a child of divorced parents, I was about 10 years old. My parents were married for 12 years. Before leading up to that point, I came from I'm like the youngest of four children, and I actually came from my parents, my mom's second marriage, which is to my biological father. And I actually had my grandma would would say something about my dad's previous relationship with someone. My grandma thought that her and my dad would have been a great couple together. And she opened her mouth one time while my dad was in the hospital, during a tragic event. He survived a botched robbery attempt, which nearly took his life. And on the operating table, my dad would say some things, and what happened? And then the next thing you know, it actually broke my mom's heart, and it just sat with her for 2 years. And then by like June 2000, my mom just said one day, "I can't do this with you anymore." And at first, like I didn't really understood it. I didn't really understand it at the time. But my oldest sister, Marianne, she really took it the hardest. And because like because her and my dad were like pretty tight and everything. Also, all things considered, she was the only daughter. And I wasn't sure, and like I was confused, like because I was used to seeing like a father in the house, and my parents doing this. We were all of us sitting at the table, and sadly that wasn't going to be the case. And I was still seeing my dad and everything, which was always like a downside. But there were times that they were arguing with each other, and there to a point where sometimes like I would get kind of scared, because like I just thought like there was going to be like some kind of like physical fighting or anything, but it was all like verbal, thankfully. And it just grew on me. Like I didn't really know about it. I honestly I didn't even know what divorce was at the time, and it never really dawned on me. And I really saw that like in my performance in school, like I really didn't really try my hardest, even though I should have. But that doesn't really define who I am. And I mean, even though my mom remarried, my dad and my stepfather, they got along pretty well. I mean, at first they didn't, but then over time they did, to the point where my dad invited my stepdad to go target shooting, and arranged by where the police academy is. Sorry to offend the gun control people out there, but but I just thought it was really. I mean, I remember like that one time on Christmas Eve, they were like chatting with each other, and I was like, my dad was like asking, I was like, wow, it goes from that little awkwardness to now it's like, hey, why don't we go shooting or something? It's like, wow, because my stepdad takes he used to work for the VA hospital right by University of Penn, and he would take probably say like a the last 10 days of the year off, from Christmas Eve to the day after New Year's, have a nice little vacation, like a little personal vacation, or I would like to call it a staycation. And he'll just just sit around, catch up on shows, read, whatever he wants to
Right.
do. And oftentimes, like, we would go to we used to have like a tradition on New Year's Eve. We would go to the movies, we would go out to eat, and then we'll come home and watch the festivities when I'm not traveling, of course. But it was, it was like really something. I mean, it was kind of like I saw like the close friendship my stepdad and my dad developed over time, as like a blessing in disguise. And and to that point, like, I didn't want that divorce to define who I am, and I kept, I still kept the faith. It was a struggle, and like every divorced child, if they want to keep the faith, like, they gotta pounce through it. And I mean, of course, I'll get to this later, but it's a long journey. I mean, you're not gonna, there are no shortcuts. You have to,
Yes.
take that
Advice.
long road. And if Christ can take that long road carrying a cross that probably weighed more than him on the way to Calvary, so can we.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's good wisdom from you, because I know you're a person of very deep faith, and it hasn't been easy, but like you said, there's no easy way, but thankfully there is a way, and that way is through Christ, right? And through our faith and the sacraments of the church. And I think just living in the present moment, knowing that no matter what happened in your family life with your parents or with your family, that God is with you right now. And that's really what's most important in going forward. I don't know if you would agree with that, but I do think that it's all about that relationship with him.
For sure.
Yes. So that's amazing advice, and I thank you so much. I want to invite people to learn more about the work that we're doing together at the St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation. Our website is nonatus.org, and we are also on social media. You can just simply look up St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation. Now, we do have a few different Facebook sites. We have one that's for our Catholics affected by divorce. We have another one for families in crisis. So you can look up those different pages there. Also on, of course, Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn too, at the St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation. Please follow and like us. Mickey, I thought you could tell our audience here too, you're very involved with pro-life and the pro-life mission. Can you explain maybe a few things that people can do to help out with pro-life, whether it be the Philadelphia area or beyond?
Well, first off, I'm going to go local here. And so those of you who are listening from the greater Philadelphia area, we have on behalf of the director of the foundation and myself, we just want to issue an SOS to pro-lifers out there. You can get involved. My suggestion would be go to prolifeunion.org and learn more on how you can get involved. Some volunteer at a local pregnancy center in your area. As a matter of fact, we have the 40 Days for Life campaign that will start on Wednesday, September 23rd. And most campaigns will end on Halloween. I know for us, because the abortion facilities are closed on Sundays. Kind of ironic, if you ask me, that they still murder babies 6 out of 7 days of the week. And they claim that there's all in God's work, which, spoiler alert, God does not permit murder. Period.
Amen.
And as for those on a national scale, I would still say, yes, please get involved with 40 Days for Life. But we also keep in mind, too, the buck doesn't stop after the 40th day of the campaign. Instead, you should make it a yearly commitment. I remember some wise words from an OBGYN in our area, actually, that she says that every day should be a march for life, whether it's for the children in the womb, the homeless person who is trying to get some money so he or she can get something to eat, the falsely accused inmate who is on death row, the refugees fleeing war-torn countries to make a better living, even the veteran who is suffering from post-traumatic disorder from war, or even those who have their self-esteem just pulled down because of bullying and the likings that they have, or even those that feel like they are marginalized for whatever reason it is. I mean, in order for us to be pro-life, we have to be life. We have to be defending life from the moment of conception till natural death, and every person that comes in between. And I'm not just saying it just for the unborn. And, people say, oh, you pro-life people, you offer pro-birthers. That's not the case. We care for all life. As a matter of fact, we care for the moms. I heard of people that tell stories of moms that try to help moms get back on their feet, that walk into the pregnancy centers. I don't hear a thing that that people at Planned Parenthood or other or non-Planned Parenthood affiliated abortion facilities that would guide moms, help them to get back on their feet, help them to find work or anything. All they do is like, oh, here's the pill, take it, see you later. No, we're not like that. In addition, I would also say Google videos of like sidewalk counseling. There's a really good 9-part series that was produced in our area. Sidewalk Servants is called. A great video breakdown what to say, what not to say, what to do and what not to do. But of course, most of the stuff is, is common knowledge, but still, we want to give you the tools, and all you have to do is, in the words of Winston Churchill, finish the job. And that's what the pro-lifer is all about. I picture us as the faithful foot soldiers that God assembles, for these front lines. And when you stand in front of those abortion facilities, you have to realize you're like the dope boys in Europe during World War I. You're in the trenches, and eventually you're going to be charging out of the trenches and step into the breach. And we must be prepared for that. And in order for us to engage in spiritual combat, number one, prayer is essential. Penance is important. In fact, St. Francis Xavier even preached about the need for prayer and penance. And that's really what's going to change our culture. And another thing that I would also say is make a commitment to adoration for those who are Catholic. Those of you who are in our Protestant brethren, it's great to see most of you really, stepping out into the public square and even taking it to the street with your faith. I would also hold a service or whatever, even those that are Jewish, or even those, I also welcome those of the Islamic faith, because in fact, they're in the Islamic faith that they do not permit murder whatsoever. We do need to be peaceful. And that's, I believe, the most important thing that we need to defeat the diabolic industry of abortion is, number one, the rosary. Number two, every Catholic commits to a holy hour every week, as St. Teresa of Calcutta foretold. The Eucharist going out on the public square. And I encourage Catholic priests and bishops, I encourage you to bring that monstrance to the streets. And you will be floored at how much you inspire people to live out their faith and follow Jesus. And I would also say, let us engage people. Let us talk about it. And you know what? There are videos out there of former abortion workers, whether they are on the medical aspect, Abby Johnson included, and there are even those that are trying to lead an exodus from this diabolic industry. We have to do some of that work ourselves. If it weren't for David B. Wright or Sean Carner and these people, I honestly think Abby Johnson would probably sit very comfortably on a 7-figure salary for Planned Parenthood right now, if it weren't for their commitment to daily prayer around the clock. And then this movement grew to a global effort. And it's not just this pro-life effort is not just for 40 days, but it should be 365 days a year. But in 2020's case, it's 366. But I don't want to worry about that.
That's right.
4 years.
Oh, even some. No, that's amazing. Thank you for that wonderful advice, because it's true all the way around. The Eucharist, prayer, the rosary, bringing the monstrance out on the streets, and also supporting your local pro-life efforts. You and I are in Philadelphia. I just want to backtrack again to Dr. Monique Ribeiro and make a shout out to her. I just received a message from her today about a fundraiser for a special young woman who is getting certified in NAPRO technology, that's Natural Women's Healthcare, and there's a special fundraiser for her. So her name is Emily Parrish, and if you would reach out to sidewalkservantsphilly.com and send them a message on their contact page, you can learn how to support this young woman who is doing this special fundraiser so that she can educate women about natural women's health. And the St. Raymond Nonnatus sends you our prayers, and will continue to make that outreach to let other people know about great people like Dr. Monique Ribeiro and Emily Parrish, too, who will be working in that field. So back again to the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation. Mickey, we're so grateful for you and for your efforts to being on board with us as the president. And you and I are supporting those families. That's right. That's right. Supporting those families who are affected by divorce, separation, and also getting out there to promote pro-life efforts. I know that next month you and I will be involved in the 40 Days for Life and doing some prayers there at the Planned Parenthood. So thank you for that opportunity. So, Mickey, would you have any other closing thoughts for those who are on this podcast or watching?
Sure. I think I said in my intro that I was going to offer some advice. Basically, don't hold everything in. I would say just reach out to people, whether it's a close relative, when you're going through, when your parents are divorcing. Two, for those that experience divorce, whether as a child or as a spouse, I first and foremost would like to say I'm sorry about what happened. And I would say just reach out to a priest, and I know it's really hard, but just offer penance, offer prayer for the healing you need. And the most important thing to do is set up a support group with family members or even friends who went through this. And it's really sad to see that half of Catholic marriages are ending in divorce. And one of the things that I really hope to see is more Catholics be aware of the church teachings. And I'm not here to condemn or anything. I mean, I know there are different consequences that come with it, but always seek healing. Pope Francis said early in his papacy that the Catholic Church needs to be a field hospital in the middle of this war zone we're in with this spiritual combat. And this field hospital provides mercy for those. And I mean, let's face it, the Catholic clergy, they can't go around, and follow their 3 to 5 billion followers rather. Instead, they need to just set up that nice little field hospital and just provide them with healing. And all along the way, there'll be somebody that would sit next to them or whatever, be like, hey, I went through that same thing myself. And, because Father Leo, I call him the Shefley priest, he had a great quote, which is conversations lead conversions. And I believe that's really a great thing. And especially for those that, and I also like to add to it, conversations can lead to reversions, not just conversions too. And I say that because we may encounter Catholics who fell away because of a very rocky marriage or whatever the case may be, a very tough upbringing. We need to open the dialogue to finding out, and instead of being judgmental, oh, you're going to go to hell because you abandoned the Catholic Church. Instead, we just need to get in their heads a little bit here, and just like, hey, why did you do this? Like, what happened? What do you think was going through your mind when, you were going through this divorce? What do you think you could have done better? And we just want to say to those of you who are listening or watching this, I don't know what people do these days, the foundation is here for you. We will always be here for you. We are not going to judge you. And we're going to bring people into your life while the whole world walks out on you, as a wise Irish proverb once says. So reach out to us, and always reach out to someone that's close to you. One final thing I would also just like to add to this is you are not at fault if you are a child of divorce. I know sometimes, marriages seem to be great, and marriage should have God as the center. As Fulton Sheen says in 3 to Get Married. If you have not read that book, go ahead and read it. And I also recommend that to newlyweds as well. You're not off the hook just yet. Just read that book. I
That
promise
is
you.
great. You know,
You're
I'll admit I have to read that one. So thank you.
Oh,
I
okay.
have to read that
Oh,
one.
well, you know what? That's gonna be in your stocking for Christmas.
Okay. Oh, well, they can tell that we're not only co-workers here, right? But we're friends too, right? You're the
For sure,
and that's a blessing. So Christian friendship, Catholic friendship is such a blessing. So yes, yes.
yeah.
Mickey, thank you so much. Yeah, I have
Thanks so much.
two more things to mention. I just want to mention a shout out to a ministry called Peak Encounter with the founder, Heather Makowitz. Now, by the time this is aired, the event will be over, but they're having a special event actually this evening. We're taping this on September 11th, where my daughter Elaine will be giving a little talk there in the Philadelphia area. But check it out. Please do Google Peak Encounter Ministries. They are also on social media, and follow them on the social media pages.
Mhm.
And yes,
I was just gonna add in, as many Catholics are aware, Father Michael J. McGivney is going to be beatified on Halloween. For
mm,
those of you to know who he is, he's the founder of the Knights of Columbus. I am a member. I've been a member for 12 years, so I was recruited by my dad at the age of 18. I recently wrote a litany to him, and I asked you if everyone could please keep it in prayer, as it has been caught the attention of several high-key bishops in the United States, and I believe it would eventually catch the eye of those in the Vatican. So we are, the ball is rolling on this one. Thanks be to God. It was this initial thing I reached out to the top knight of the state, and I believe it's spreading like wildfire right now. So it's only a matter of time. So proud of it. And I also spoke to a couple people I was working with yesterday. We had a meeting with a couple members of the clergy in the Philly area, and one of the people was like, they were both really shocked. And they're like, I want to see it. I'm like, okay, yeah. In fact, it's going to be in a subscription that goes for a correspondence to go out to all state knights coming in November. So I'm really excited about that. I'm glad it's gaining some steam.
amen. Thank you so much for sharing. I ask people to please check that out.
Mhm.
And also, just one more shout out. If you yourself are in need of some spiritual accompaniment, Father Ken Breen, who is our spiritual moderator, he's located in Western New York, does so much for us for the foundation. He and I are both offering free spiritual consultation. If you would like to set up an appointment with he or with myself, please do reach out to me at nonatus.org on our contact page. Like I said, these are free appointments. We are there for you, for families in crisis, and also families affected by divorce and separation. So Mickey, I thank you again. Let's do this again, do another video where we can talk about the great things that are happening within the foundation. And I just want to let everyone know that we're praying for you, and please stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Ann.
God bless.